Welcome to this lecture on text in iBooks Author. Now, before we get started, I want to reiterate something that we've previously covered. iBooks Author, even though it has the word author in the name of the application, isn't an ideal authoring environment, so you really should use another tool like Pages or Word to write the text for your book. Now, iBooks Author templates include built-in text boxes with placeholder text that you simply replace with your own text. So we've seen examples of that already. Now, these text boxes are linked so that text flows from one page to the next automatically. So as you add additional text, new pages are created automatically. So the way that we can sort of visually see that is if we select one of the text boxes that we have on our pages, you can see that we have this blue line that extends from the bottom of one page to the top of the next page. And that tells us that the text in this particular section is going to auto flow from one text box to the next. Now, you do have the ability to create custom text boxes or widgets that aren't part of the rest of the document flow. Now, in order to do that, we simply click on the text button in the toolbar. So go ahead and do that, and you can see that basically just creates a text box that we can move around. Now, the text box is not part of the regular flow of the document, and right now you can see that if I was to type in this text, it's just simply sitting on top, it's layered on top of the existing text box, which is probably not what I want. So what I can do here is I can go into my inspector. There is something called the wrap inspector. If I go into the wrap inspector, I can look at this particular object, which happens to be a custom text box. We can say that it is a floating object. We'll cover objects in a bit more detail, but we'll choose the default option here and we'll say that the object causes wrap. Then you have some options here that define how the text is going to wrap around your object. So in this case, it's going to wrap the text around the object. Let's say we wanted to wrap the text to the left or right. In this case, it doesn't actually change because if I were to move it over here, you can see that the text starts to change. Or if I just simply want to have this section of text set aside where the wrapping is going to be on the top and bottom, there's going to just be a white space and no additional text will wrap around it. So you have the ability to create these custom text boxes that can interrupt the regular document flow. Now, the one thing you should remember about custom text boxes is that you can't actually flow text from one to the other. So there isn't a capability within iBooks Author to have multiple text boxes, custom text boxes that are linked to one another. If you have content that needs to go in a text box, that's not part of the regular document flow, but perhaps you don't have enough room to display all that information in the space, we'll talk about a widget that you can use called the scrolling sidebar widget that can be used for that purpose. Now, when we look at text, shapes can also have text boxes. So for example, maybe we want to include a speech bubble, and if I double click on that, I can actually start typing some text. Now these are treated the same as custom text boxes where they're not part of the rest of the document flow. So we'll go ahead and just select this shape and just remove it. Okay, so let's just go ahead and undo that and get rid of that shape. So in terms of working with text, with your regular text, we've obviously gone through a section on styles, so I would suggest that you revisit that if you have any questions about how do you format the look and feel of your documented text. But aside from that, just keep in mind that you can add additional widgets and custom text boxes that can interrupt the document flow. So that concludes our lecture on text in iBooks Author.